Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Avinash, and I'm starting a new video series in Linux operating system. So, this series I'm going to start in Telugu as well as English language. If you are comfortable with Telugu, you can follow the Telugu playlist. Otherwise, you can go with this English playlist. So, if you observe this video title, I clearly mention if it is a Telugu, in bracket I'll mention it as a Telugu. If it is a English, I'll mention it as a English. All right. So, yeah. So in this video, I'm going to discuss what is Linux, why to use Linux, what exactly open source means, right? What are the distributions we have? So these things I'm going to discuss here in this video. So the first question, what exactly this Linux operating system is? So basically Linux is an operating system. So initially it developed as a kernel. So now a new word. So it is developed by Linus Torvalds. So basically this Linux, as I told you, it's developed as a kernel, right? So first we should know what exactly this kernel means. Okay. See, this kernel act as a intermediate component between our hardware and operating system. If you don't understand, I'll give you one simple example. See, in our software organizations, we are going to have like your developers, we are going to have project managers, we are going to have clients, right? So client will give his requirements, and that requirement, this project manager is going to take the requirement and it is going to pass. He pass that information to developers. So developers sit and work on that requirement. Okay. See, directly my developers not able to communicate to my client, and client not able to communicate to my developers also. In between there is a guy who is acting as a bridge between my actual developers and the client. So here in same way, so my client is a hardware here, my software developers are an operating system here. So in between we need something that can enable communication. So that is actually kernel. So whatever your laptop hardware contains, your laptop might have one hard disk, one CPU, one motherboard, so some components like network interfaces card, graphic card. Okay, so these all uh, respond or work based on the user input. So how user is going to provide that input? With the help of operating system. So this kernel act as a intermediate component between hardware and operating system. So this actually I took this definition from Wikipedia only. All right. So now see why you need to learn Linux. Okay. So why we need to learn Linux? Here is the reasons. So firstly, Linux is a free. Okay. As Linux is a free, I'm not asking you to learn Linux operating system. As Linux is free, many of the organizations are using this for their enterprise workload. See, if for every server, if you want to, in general, if you are taking another famous operating system like a Windows operating system, for every single component, for every single device we are using, right, we need to purchase one license. Okay, so that license obviously will cost. So every operating system license is a budget thing for organizations. But this Linux is free. Okay, so that is also one of the reason organization prefer to go with Linux operating system over Windows operating system. And Linux is stable. See, this Linux operating system, right? So you can take very small configuration, very small hardware. You can still install and you can run, and it works. It will give good performance. But if you're taking Windows operating system, so a lot of issues are there, like a blue screen error, dead screen error, and minimum hardware compatibility issues, right? Such type of all issues are there. Compared to that, so Linux is more stable and it is secured. See, you might have this rumor or like that. So Linux is virus free and all. So that is not true. We have chances to get like malicious attacks and all in Linux operating system also, but very less chances. Whatever the software you are downloading and installing, right? So you actually download it from repositories. So the repositories, right, will contain only secured resources only. But in Windows, you go to browser, you download and you install. Right, you go to a third-party website and you download. So there is no guarantee that that software is not malfunctioned or not modified. Such type of things. So more chances are there whenever you are using Windows operating system. Right. So then fourth one is open source. I'll talk about this open source in our next slide. Okay. So now what actually running on this Linux operating system? See, you take anything in current world, you take anything that is running on Linux operating system only. So, for example, you take your TV, you take your car infotainment system, you take your remote controller that you can operate your AC or that you can operate your TV. So those all comes under actually embedded systems. Most of the embedded systems running on Linux operating system, and all your supercomputers running on Linux operating system. This robotic operating system is it's also a kind of a open source one that is also developed on top of Linux operating system only. And most of the satellite communications happens on Linux operating system, the Internet of Things, like so your devices like smart bulbs, smart fridges, right? So the devices like Alexa or Google Home, these all home automation things actually uses this Linux operating system. Flight simulators, cryptocurrency mining, Bitcoin mining, these all again uses Linux operating system. And also recently you might seen this like the Tesla, as well as this in India, like MG Motors, as well as Mahindra introduced this ADAS system, Advanced Driver Assistance System, automatic braking, lane discipline, right? These all like again. So whenever any object comes suddenly, whenever anyone comes into your car, in front of your car suddenly, so it is going to brake automatically, right? So such type of advanced options we are getting in this ADAS. So that is also actually running on top of Linux only. Okay, so these all I can say like 80% of the internet is running on Linux. Remaining 20 or 25 or 30% actually running on Windows. Okay, that is like as per some documentation I read, I'm mentioning that numbers, but I'm not starting any debate. Okay, so now to start this Linux operating system, first you should not worry. You observe this cat. So you observe that face, worry face, and the learning phase is very slow. So don't be like this cat. So be curious to learn Linux operating system. Okay, see what's stopping you to learn this Linux operating system? Only one thing that is difference between Windows and Linux, right? In Windows, you have user interface. You can see where the folder is, how to open that folder, how to manage that file. Okay, you just observe that you can see how things are working. Okay, that UI is an additional thing you are getting in Windows operating system. But in Linux, you have to execute a command, that's it. And again, you recollect one thing. Whenever you sit in front of Windows system for the first time, what you did? You have created a folder, you created a file, you did copy paste, you did cut paste. Apart from that, did you perform any additional things? No, right? Even Windows operating system also, you slowly learned. Okay, so in similar way, we will learn very basics in initial sessions, and we will go to advanced topics in this video series. So first, keep your fear aside. Don't have any fear to start learning any new thing. So my suggestion, be curious, keep that fear aside. So definitely you can master Linux operating system. Okay, let's come back to the technical thing. So, what exactly this open source means? So, open source basically we can get access to the source code. See, here is a location, whatever the Linux star world is, right? So you can go here, you can open this, right? So here you can go and you can download. So the Linux kernel, these are the Linux kernel archives. So you can go here, you can download this Linux kernel. You go here, so you can see like what exactly published, what exactly happened, who is the contributor, who is the owner, everything you can get. Okay, so you can download this, and whatever the code you are downloading, right, you can modify it. Okay, you are allowed to modify it. No one will take any legal action on you. And you can add some features, you can modify how program is working, and also you can freely distribute it to any other guys also. So you download, you do some modification, and then you name it as a different flavor. You name with your own name, like okay, Avinash Linux, just like how exactly we have Amazon Linux. You create one with your name, and you can even distribute it for any purpose. No one will come and take any legal action. But if you do the same thing with Microsoft, if you go and modify how Microsoft program is working, if you modify that, so definitely you have to uh, you will face legal issues, right? So if it is open source means we can access the source code, we can modify the source code, we can change how program is working, we can use it for any purpose, whether you are using it for commercial purpose, right, or you're using it for educational purpose. You can use it for any purpose and you can distribute it to anyone. So that is what open source means. See, you have to understand what exactly open source and freeware. So freeware means the software is free. In freeware, the software is free, but you cannot redistribute it. You cannot modify how the program is working. Okay, so that is the difference between freeware and open source. So now, next thing. So in Linux operating system, we have lot of distributions. You might get it out, okay, why we have these many flavors in Linux operating system. You might hear lot of flavors, right? You might hear Ubuntu, like a Kali Linux, RHEL, right? Fedora, CentOS, right? Backtalk, and we have SUSE Linux. See, why we have these many flavors? The answer is here itself. Linux is an open source. Lot of organization took that, they modified, they released. That's the reason we have a lot of flavors in Linux operating system. Primarily in currently, like we have Debian based distributions and Red Hat based distributions. So this Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Kali Linux, these comes under Debian, and Red Hat based, right? CentOS, that is a free community version. Anyone can go and use that CentOS. And Fedora, it actually has a commercial version also, this Fedora. So if it is a commercial version, you need to pay for support. If you are facing an issue, if you are seeking any help from this Fedora, so you have to pay for that. So this distribution also called as a distro. So in simple, distribution is package management system or collection of softwares, and how we can install the softwares. See, again, end layer, everything is going to be almost similar, only small changes like how to install the packages, how to manage the packages, how to manage the services. Such type of things are different, but remaining most of the things, file structure, process, almost everything is going to be same in Debian as well as Red Hat distributions. All right, so now how to master the Linux. See, just like this cat, be curious. Okay, be curious, just like this cat. You see that cat? How curiously that is looking at, like, this Linux, and it's really interested to learn Linux operating system. So you also be like that cat and show some interest. So definitely it added advantage to your profile. Adding Linux along with Amazon Web Services, adding Linux with any other like programming language, definitely add some weightage to your profile. So, firstly, be curious. Second, keep your fear aside. Third, continuously practice. So practice continuously by following these three. You can definitely master in this Linux operating system. All right, so that is very basic and introductory video to this Linux series, and you can treat it as a day 0. And also, if you're really interested to um, learn AWS or AWS projects and all, it's all available in our YouTube channel. So please take a minute and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more updates. And I'm taking it as a series. Every Saturday, I'm going to post one video on this Linux operating system. So you can go through that. You can practice for 1 week. So then you can go through the next video on Linux operating system and you can practice. All right, so that is all about Linux day 0, Linux introduction in English. Thanks for watching. See you again in next video.